Meeting of the Board of Selectmen. Would you please rise? Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is being recorded by MCCAM and Verizon, broadcast on MCCAM. First item is unanticipated. Does any of my board members have anything under unanticipated? Audience? Anybody have anything for unanticipated? Okay, we'll go to announcements. First thing I would like to announce is South Middleborough Grange, number 337, is having their 56th Agricultural Fair. The fair is going to be, I believe, this Saturday. I'm sorry, August 24th. It is from let's see, exhibits are received on Friday from 5 to 6 p.m., Saturday from 7 a.m. to noon. At 1:30 the fair opens. There'll be baked goods for sale, traveling bazaar, and grocery basket. Exhibits will be on display. There'll be a supper at 6 p.m. Baked chicken, cranberry juice, mashed potatoes, green beans, carrots. I'm getting hungry. Cranberry sauce, $8 for adults, $3 for kids. Fair auction at 7 p.m. featuring vegetables and flowers. So, in support of our farmers and our Grange, that is available. Do any of my selectmen have any announcements? Mr. Frawley, you must have something.
Yes, I do.
There is a chart.
There's a very interesting article online today about our herring run, having close to 1 million herring running through the town of Middleborough this spring, which is quite a rebound from the numbers in 2005, which is about 400,000. So I don't know what we're doing right, but I hope we keep it up. And I would just like to tip my hat to every member of the Middleborough Lakeville Herring Commission for all their hard work. They're out there all the time counting the fish. They keep track of the parks down there. And it's just a great experience for anybody who goes down there. My son, I don't think he understands what they were, but he certainly giggled a lot when we were down there this spring, and my daughter wants to catch them. And I have to explain to her that we can't catch them yet, but hopefully if the numbers continue to grow, maybe one day we will be able to. So once again, thank you to the Middleborough Lakeville Herring Commission for all their hard work, and let's just keep the numbers going. Thanks.
That's it?
That's it.
Mr. Quill? Mr. Knowlton?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Knowlton.
During Crazy Days last week, the Middleborough Republican Town Committee gave children a chance to experience the process of voting, and they have reported to me that in a very close contest, children voted chocolate as their favorite ice cream flavor, just edging out vanilla, 41 to 39. Strawberry was apparently last seen meeting with its consultants, trying to explain a disappointing 21 votes. And as usual, Other ran a very competent third-party campaign and recorded a respectful 34 votes. So the committee was just very happy to give children a chance to experience what voting is like.
Here you go. Probably did better than we do. Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
That's it. Do anybody from the audience have any announcements? Please step right up to the microphone and announce yourself.
Mr. Chairman, good evening. I'm George David from the Middleborough Republican Town Committee, Vice Chairman. I would like to read a prepared statement, if I may.
Certainly.
The Middleborough Republican Town Committee is very pleased to announce that we raised over $700 for 2 local charities during Crazy Days. This is a sizable amount of money, and we're very proud of that. We'd like to thank Selectman Knowlton, Quell, McKinnon, and Frawley, as well as school committee member Brian Giovanni for volunteering to sit in the dunk tank. It was showed good sportsmanship and really a strong character to do that. We also like to thank the fire department for helping us with the water supply.
Yeah, I'd like to thank them, too.
The weather was great, and fun was had by all. The money raised will be donated to the St. Vincent de Paul Food Pantry at Sacred Heart Church and the American Legion Boys and Girls State Programs. So those are two local and good causes. At this point, I would depart from my prepared remarks and make corny jokes about being in the tank, sitting on the edge, and being all wet. But I'll spare you that. You've probably heard them at home anyway. At this time, I would like to present the award for the most dunked selectman, and that would be Selectman Frawley.
All right.
May I approach the...
Oh, absolutely, please. I would really want to. In fact, I think we should get a picture of that. Do we have a...
Thank you.
Look at that.
Hey, I do have to build a trophy case.
Yeah, we're going to have to get one up here for you to say Frawley's case, you know?
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Good evening.
Good evening, Judy Bigelow Costa, President of Middleborough on the Move, sponsor of Crazy Days. I want to thank everyone that came out in the spirit of Crazy Days, August 2nd and 3rd. It was a wonderful time. I'm estimating over 5,000 people came through, give or take a few. We had a wonderful, wonderful time, and we're beginning to talk about next year's a week from Thursday. Anyone that wants to get on board to help with it, we can always use more volunteers to help with it. And I just want to, again, say thank you for everyone. I think Crazy Days was very, very successful.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all of your efforts in putting that together, too, you and your team. You did a great job. It was a great event. There's part of what we did, what they did, was to have a lot of different vendors down here, mostly town vendors, but there were a few from out of town. And one of the vendors came here wanting to just spread some of her goods, and she wound up getting a very sizable contract for a purchase of a lot of her goods from a company. She didn't want me to use a name, nor will I, but it was an opportunity that was there. It hit. She may not have got that had she not been here. And there were a lot of different, I've read some of the blog items, there were a lot of different sales that happened. It was a lot of money that came into our town that day. Not that the money was the focus, but it was a very, very, very good day, I think, for the town.
Money wasn't the focus at all.
No.
Buy local is the focus.
Right.
And we had more come from out of town this year than we had last year. As everyone knows, in-towners is $25 per table for 2 days, and if you want it back, you get that money back. Out-of-towners is $75, and they do not get it returned. Because we want the community to know that we have businesses throughout the 70 square miles of the area. There are thousands of businesses in the town of Middleborough, and people are not aware of all of them. We did have someone that was invited, and I, for one, am going to ask right now. We had a Cushnet Creamery come, and I'd like to know from Leilani how it went.
He did extremely well, so well, in fact, that he had to go back home the second day and bring back a freezer twice the size of the first day. And he's eyeing Middleborough for a possible store downtown, which is really, really nice.
Thank you. This is one of the things that we have Crazy Days for. It's just what Leilani is talking about right now. It gives individuals from out of town an opportunity to see what our town has for vacancies, so they can bring their businesses downtown. And hopefully, something will come from this. We have a lot of empty stores, as you all know, but we're hoping to fill them. And I think as one comes, others would follow. If we end up doing something really good in the downtown, like a two-theater movie, two-showing movie, perhaps in one of the buildings or something, we can get more vendors to come downtown. We just have to think outside of the box and come up with something that's going to be a big draw, and then all the other vendors will come.
Thank you. Okay, any other announcements, recognitions? Okay. And the next item on the agenda is the minutes for the 7/29/2013 meeting, the regular minutes.
Motion to approve.
We have a
Second.
motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Now for the 7/29/13 executive session minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Entertain a motion to vote to authorize the chairman or his designee to sign the warrants for the week ending 8/9/2013.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. Okay, new business. We have several appointments to make. These are one-year appointments, 2013 annual appointments. These are effective, actually, what, July 1st, really? And they go to June 30th? Okay. All right, fence viewer would be Robert Whalen. Tree warden and moth superintendent would be Christopher Peck. Animal control officer, Jessica Gardner. Animal inspector, Jessica Gardner. Alternate animal inspector, James Brown. I wonder if he sings. Forest fire warden, Lance Benjamino. Alternate wiring inspector, John Hogan. Alternate wiring inspector, Michael Bell. Town council, Dan Murray. Veterans agent, Paul Provenza. Pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item is a one-day beer and wine license for William Fuller, Bartender Services of New England, for the Alley Theater for August 27, 2013, from 5:30 to 10 p.m. The Maureen Hancock's Postcards from Heaven event.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. The item from the fire department, we want to declare the, this is from Chief Benjamino. He respectfully requests the following vehicle be deemed surplus so it could be put out to bid or disposed of. The 1989 Maxim F-1500 pumper, engine number 2. It's 24 years of service, well beyond its life expectancy as a piece of fire apparatus, and it's been replaced by a 2013 E1 rescue pumper in June of this year. Pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
it says put out to bid or disposed of.
or scrapped.
Yeah,
Well,
no.
let me explain that. We are going to put it out to bid. In fact, we're going to, for the first time, use a new online bid service that's available to municipalities. But the arrangement with them is that, although we won't have a minimum, we don't have to take any bids. So if we're not satisfied with the bid, we know what it's worth as salvage. So we know, what we can get even without bidding it. Preferably, we'll get a higher number by bidding it. but under no circumstances will we get less than what the salvage value is.
Got it, okay. Great, thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Pleasure of the board? Oh, we already did that, didn't we? All right, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Next item is to vote a betterment agreement for Robert E. and Patricia E. Ahern, 52 Fairview Street, for the tune of $16,550. This is for septic system repairs. Pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item is vote a maximum useful life of department equipment as presented. The items were the forestry vehicle. These are items we're going to be buying either this year or last year. Is that correct?
This is, upcoming.
All right. So the borrowing amount's $215,000, and that only has a 15-year maximum useful life?
Well, again, the theory here is that we certainly want to pay off the equipment sooner than, we stop using the equipment. So it tends to be a little bit more conservative. I think, we would hope to get more time out of all these vehicles and all this equipment. But, you also want to be sure that you're not paying for something that you no longer use. So it's a little, a little sooner than you would expect the actual useful life. Think about it just for borrowing purposes.
Well, I think I have a question. The Public Works Department truck is valued at 15 years.
Right.
The Parks Department truck is valued at 10 years.
Right. Different caliber vehicles. One's a lighter duty truck, one's a much heavier duty.
But different uses, too. I mean, Parks Department truck isn't going to be used for the winter.
Yeah, and again, this is the third year we've been doing this, and this is consistent with all the other years. So basically, the lighter duty vehicles, we tend to, pin at about 10 years. The heavier duty vehicles, 15 years, nothing more than 15 years. Equipment and the like, 5 years.
Okay.
So we're just trying to be internally consistent as well. Granted, we hope to have much more use out of this equipment than what we're putting down here. You tend to be more conservative when you're borrowing the money and putting, interest on top of what you're borrowing.
Well, considering the fire chief does manage to keep some of his equipment going for a long time, one of his forest vehicles is a 1967.
Exactly. No, our expectations are that we will have this equipment for much longer than these numbers say.
So the forest vehicle will be 15 years. The sweeper at $180,000 will be 15 years. Public Works Department truck, $140,000, 15 years. Library compressor, $30,000, 5 years. Town Hall Annex and Council and Aging carpeting, $25,335 for 5 years, and a Park Department truck, $25,000 for 10 years.
Mr. Chair,
Mr.
through you to Charlie. These are all things that the Capital Planning Committee went through, and we, as part of that committee, we assigned a useful life for that, correct?
Well, we didn't assign a useful life for that. I mean, I think in looking at, the history of our use of these vehicles, I think, each one of them, at least the ones we're replacing, have served far longer than these ages. But yeah, these are all things that town meeting approved, through, capital planning recommended in the spring. So now we're getting ready to borrow it, and this is just one of the things we have to do for the financial advisor to, put the notes together.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if I may. So these are calculated not only on how long we'll be using them, their useful life, but also on the financing that is on them?
Yeah, this is for the financing, what the useful life we want to put on them for the bonds.
Okay.
Not how long we think they'll last, but, you tend to be a little bit more conservative when it comes to the borrowing.
We expect to get more out of each and every one.
Absolutely, absolutely. Two different, considerations.
So useful life versus
Useful life for the
financial payment.
for the borrowing, for the payment, as opposed to useful life in reality.
Okay. Any other questions? Pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? The ayes have it. Now, we do these betterment agreements to loan the money to the taxpayers so they can work on their septic systems, and they pay that money back, but we also have to borrow money to do that, and this is what our next item is. Move fast there. This is to sign the sewer betterment agreement. That's going to be a $200,000 loan?
We've been doing 200,000, although I've been talking to Treasurer Collector Judy McDonald. I think we're realizing as we're doing this that, every time we do this, there's a cost. And it'd probably be better if we did them in bigger chunks. So I think from now on, we're going to do them in bigger chunks, but this one was 200,000.
This one's 200,000? Okay. All right. Pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve?
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item is to send a notice to vacate to 122 Cedar Street, Middleborough, Mass. For Mr. Verkler. We had, back in April, March or April, allowed him to stay 3 more months while this property is to be vacated, and then it's going to be auctioned off.
Correct.
So now we're at that 3-month mark, so this is just to send him a notice to vacate the property. Any comments or questions?
I don't know if Mr. Verkler is here or not. I guess not.
Pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Now we have a supplemental agreement, number 1, for the cleaning, painting, and miscellaneous repairs of the fire tower elevated water storage tank, Middleborough, Mass. Who would like, is there a,
No, I think that's me tonight.
it's going to be you?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, basically what happened, as we were working on the storage tank, is they discovered that some of these structural elements wouldn't move, particularly the turnbuckles. No matter what they did, under load, without load, heating, nothing would allow them to adjust them, so they had to replace them. And rather than add on to the project, the decision was there was a certain, certainly the top part of the tank badly needs repainting. It's rusty and it's needs to be coated, fully coated. The bottom part of the tank underneath the walkway, not as badly off, and since this is only an interim, we're doing a repair to extend the life for about another 7 years. The feeling was let's focus on what's really necessary, the structural repairs. Along with the structure, we have all kinds of antenna out there. Those were falling off, so those had to be reinforced. So we're basically trading off the structural repairs for painting and coating on the bottom part of the tank. So there's no additional cost here. It's just swapping out one part of the work for another.
This is the internal painting?
No, the internal
Just
painting's all
ex-
done. This is all external.
This is just external,
Yeah, no,
okay.
the internal's done, it's fully closed, everything's the way it should be.
All right, so my concern would have been rust from the inside, working its way out.
That's been
But
taken
that's
care
all
of.
taken care of, so this is just really just cosmetic on the outside.
Well, cosmetic, and, you certainly, paint is important because it,
Sure.
prevents deterioration, but the part that's most likely the deteriorated top will still be painted. It's just the underneath.
So we're not going to put the tank in jeopardy for the next, until the next 7 years?
No,
or
no, in fact-
that time frame when we can replace it?
But the structural, without the structural work, you know, you would be putting it in
Right.
jeopardy. So that's really the,
Okay, so all of the antennas have been
yeah.
rehung, and we didn't run into any trouble with anybody showing up to speak
And
harshly?
no one came up and said, what happened to my communications?
Okay. All right, pleasure of the ward.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Vote to authorize hold on, be with you in a minute. Okay. Next item is to vote to authorize the expenditure of surety monies held for the completion of Acorn Ridge Estates, which is better known as Veronica Lane.
Veronica Lane is one of the roads we're working on with the residents to try and bring forward for acceptance this fall. And one of the things that we need to do is, there's a very small amount of money left in the surety. You have a memo from the planning board discussing this. And we need to take that to complete the layout and as-built plan, because that's a necessary part of the whole acceptance process. So the request is for you to authorize the planning board to use those funds for that purpose. And then what will follow on that is the residents have agreed to pay, as they did in River's Edge and Edgewater, a certain amount of money to complete the road, and then we will accept it based on that assurance, and then we will do the work and finish the road, and then they will pay us back in a betterment.
Okay. Any comments or questions? Everybody understand all that? Okay, good. Pleasure of the board.
Can I make a quick comment?
Yes, you may.
I just want to say thank you to Charlie and to the planning board for getting in front of this and trying to get these things settled. This has been a thorn in our side for, this one's has remained incomplete for over 20 years. So I certainly appreciate the work that goes into this. I have a relative that's on yet another unaccepted road, and I hear about this every time I go over for a hamburger. But like I said, I think this is the way that these things are going to get settled, and I appreciate all the planning board and that you are, and the residents are working towards. I think this is a good solution.
Yeah, I think so too. And, you know, we have another one that'll come forward where the developer is still in town, and he and the residents have gotten together and they're making the repairs. And again, that one, you know, hopefully will be ready for this fall as well. And so we might even have two, you know, just off the list of all those nagging streets that, you know,
One
have
step
been
at a time.
Hanging out there.
All right. So what, did we vote on that?
Not yet.
All right, we have a pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve?
Okay.
Second.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Okay. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on new business is from Jane Lopes. I guess it's from me, actually. Let's see, this is vote to support the Conservation Commission application for CPA funding to acquire parcels of land known as the Lion's Head property to be used as open space. Anybody like to address this?
It's your letter.
My letter? Should have read it before I read it. So, where is
Jane,
Lion's Head?
can you help us out here?
Help me out here, Jane?
It's on the other side of 44, right?
Yeah, I was not prepared to discuss this. It's land that belongs to the Georgian sisters, belongs to, I presume, the estate, or to Mary Georgian. And it's, I don't know, precisely where, it's on the river. It's near their house, right? Is it the land right around their house? Yeah, Summer Street. And the Conservation Commission has applied for CPA funding to purchase this land because of its river frontage and other aspects of that lend itself to being protected as open space. The Community Preservation Committee has received the application and determined that it's eligible for CPA money. And I believe this is one of the ones that's going to be on the fall town meeting warrant. The committee hasn't really discussed it yet. We're meeting on August 22nd to discuss it and several other applications we've received. Obviously, I'm not totally familiar with this project yet.
Neither am I, and I wrote the letter.
Pardon?
Nothing. All right, thank you very much.
Okay, Steve.
Rapidly going downhill here. Pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Okay, any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Motion passes. 7:30, we have a Commission on Disability Progress Report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Carolyn Gravelin. I'm the chairman of the Commission on Disability. And the members, all of the members of the committee are here tonight. Judy Bigelow-Costa, Laura O'Connor, Michelle McClellan, and our town representative and our secretary, Allison Ferrara. The Commission on Disability is allowed to have 5 to 9 members, and as you can see, we have the minimum of 5, so we do have some openings. And the purpose of our committee is to work with the Department of Massachusetts Office on Disability to try and bring about full and equal compliance for all citizens of this town, to see that everyone gets equal access to all that is offered to the townspeople. We are supposed to research local problems, and we do when we hear of them. We're supposed to review and make recommendations, and again, when we hear of them, we contact people and do that. We try to encourage public awareness, and for the last 2 or 3 years, I've come before you, and hopefully this is one way we're doing it. We provide information, referrals, and guidance. We cannot complain about what anybody is doing. We can just ask them, this is the way you should do it, and refer to them how they should be following through on it. And we are supposed to file an annual report, which we do. The members of our committee are appointed by the town manager after the committee makes recommendations, and then you people approve, and we will have some people who are up for staying in. Their term is expiring, and they will be staying in. And we also next month at our meeting, we are going to be interviewing a new candidate who wants to join the committee. And for those of you who are interested, a majority of the members on this committee must have a disability. One must be an immediate relative to a person with a disability. One is an elected or appointed town official. And if there are other openings, they may be interested persons. And each person serves a 3-year term, and every year somebody's term or 2 people's term are up. Our powers, I'll do that, I'm sorry. Okay, by law, we meet a minimum of 6 times a year. When they started the Commission on Disability, and they said that you had to meet 10 times a year. And they found that when you had a majority of your members disabled or a family member disabled, it was very hard to get quorum at the meetings. So they changed it to you must have 6 meetings a year. You may have more, but you must have 6. And as a result, our meetings are scheduled for the 2nd Wednesday of every month. We meet at the small meeting room in the front of the town hall. And yes, we cancel meetings if the weather is bad, if we know we're not going to have a quorum, and some of us are on other things, so if we know we can't make it, we do that. And the biggest reason we cancel meetings or change the dates is because the town is having an election or a town meeting, and our secretary is very busy, so if we can't have her there, it's a little bit rough. Recently, we were highly involved with the library. They have purchased a piece of property, and they are going to be putting handicap parking as well as regular parking there. We met with them a couple of times to show them where the handicap parking should be. Nothing seems to have moved along since then, but we have met with them and their engineers, and we probably will be having another meeting with them. And we also were highly involved with the G&E department when they wanted to fix their handicap spot. And we had to meet with them several times because we had to keep up to date with the new revision on the laws as to where to put the handicap parking spot. So we have done that. And our main interest is accessibility, which means getting into a place, being able to get into the door of the place, being able to park your car outside. Once you are in the place, being able to use the bathroom, being able to use communications, whether it's a telephone, or if the person needs sign language at a meeting, or hearing devices. Those are our main concerns. And we are planning to meet very soon with the highway department, the new manager that you have there, to find out what projects he has going on with the roads. We had met previously with the old projects that we thought were going to be started, but some of them haven't been done. So we will be planning a meeting with him to find out what's going on there. As I said, our commission is mainly interested in parking, path of travel, crosswalks, curb cuts, so that whether you have a cane, a wheelchair, or you just have to watch where you pick your feet up, everyone can get into every place that they want to get to, especially public meetings. In 1969 and in 1975, Massachusetts implemented stringent requirements for accessibility in all public places. The Americans with Disabilities Act was of 1990, bans discrimination against people with blind, deaf, mentally or physically retarded individuals. Here we are in 2013, and very little has been done, and very little has been done in this town. So we are discriminating against those who cannot get everywhere and participate fully in everything. Barriers should be eliminated, and one of the ways that we have come several years ago to this town was to ask them that whenever the town was doing a project, would they please let us know so that we could be involved with some of the original plans and as the plans change, so that we could make sure that the handicap requirements are properly put in place. And that includes renovations, alterations, and/or new construction of places. Just to remind you, we all look pretty good here now, especially you people up there. But as the population grows older, one day you're going to be listed as disabled, and you're going to need these things that this town still does not have. Someday you may be one of those people that needs them. I want to thank you very much for listening to us. And I want to, for myself, I want to tell you that I listen to these meetings every week at home. I cannot hear you people at all. Your voices are very muffled. And I watch a lot of meetings from other departments, and the selectmen seem to be the worst. And I know last year when I spoke to you, I asked you, please move your microphones closer to your mouth. The only person I heard today so far was Judy, because she moved the mic closer to her mouth. You people act as if you're talking to each other, and we need to hear you too, whether we come to the meetings or whether we are listening at home. I thank you. Does anyone have any questions of myself or anyone on the committee?
You have 4 vacancies now. You need,
Basically, we have 4, up to 4.
Right, up to
We
4.
can work with 5, but we have openings, yes.
but you have the 4 openings.
Yes.
Somebody was to decide they wanted to try to be on your board, they would have to come to you first?
No, they
And
should
then-
send a letter to Allison, our town secretary, giving her qualifications. She will bring that up to a meeting, we will look them over, and then if we feel that the candidate fits our qualifications, we would invite the person to a meeting, and then we would make a recommendation to the town manager.
Okay, all right, very good. Any of the board members have any other comments, questions? Well, I thank you very much for all of your effort. And we are doing a lot of work in town, too. We are You know,
We know,
we're
but
spending
sometimes
a
we
lot
go
of money.
along and we say, now, wait a minute, they should have put that crosswalk there, they should have put that parking there. So that's where I meant that, you know, we need to
Okay.
be a little bit involved. And
Okay.
we're happy to help.
All right. And I think you'll find Mr. Peck,
Thank you.
you know, a joy to work with. Thank you. At 7:40, right on time, we're going to have a discussion about Code Red Emergency Notification System and the Commonwealth Connect Mobile Application Presentation and Discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll direct your attention to the screen.
That one.
And you'll notice there are two new features on the screen, right under the online bill payment. A button for our new Code Red emergency notification system, as well as a button for our mobile app reporting app. And Caroline LaCroix is here to talk about both of those things, and I know the chiefs are also here to add a few things about this. So Caroline?
As the town manager mentioned, I apologize, I have a very sore throat. The town of Middleborough is implementing an emergency notification system titled Code Red. We received a grant from Maya, our municipal insurance company, during FY13 to enable us to purchase published and non-published telephone numbers from Verizon, as well as enter into a one-year contract agreement with the vendor, ECN, who is the provider of the Code Red emergency notification system. The system that we've designed is something similar that's been used across the country for us to send out a phone call followed by a cell phone message, a text message, or an email message to residents for emergency situations. In the memo that I prepared for the board, we indicated that our intent is to notify residents of a public safety or public health emergency via Code Red. Our system is set up currently with phone numbers. By placing it on the website, we're asking residents to come on to www.middleborough.com, where they'll be brought to a second screen, and this is where they can input confidentially their information. The Code Red system is designed to purge data, so they will purge the information that's currently in the database with additional information. A lot of people might want to have their cell phone number, their email address notified because they're not at home when an emergency call may come out. So we're asking residents to go onto the website and to add any supplemental information that they would like to share with us, which is confidential and is retained for our use only.
And that's the screen that people
Yes.
will see if they go on the website and click on the Code Red button. It'll take them to this location where they can input their information.
Carolyn, is it possible to load up more than one email address, or can you put several email addresses and a cell phone and a regular landline phone?
Yeah, I did this when we first put it on the website myself, and there's only one screen for an email address, but you can enter multiple cell phone numbers. Typically, a text message is going to go out to your cell phone, and the email is one address. This is something that we could ask the vendor, if
Okay.
people have more than one email address,
Right.
if we can add it. They're very willing to work and make changes based on input from municipalities, so I can ask that.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Chief Gates and Chief Benjamin are here as well. They've been working on this project with myself, as well as the Department of Public Works Director, Chris Peck, and the interim general manager of Gas and Electric, Jackie Crowley. Those 5 departments will be those departments that will have usefulness of this system. So if the chiefs would like to say anything in addition to what I've already said.
Well, I have a question. Will we be able to target areas will this be set up in a grid-like fashion so that we could target an area?
Yes. We can go on a map, whoever the person is putting out the alert. You can target one area, one street, or you can target an entire area. You can actually take the pointer, make a circle, you could go a mile, 2 miles, or just one section, and it will call all those numbers. Basically, the idea is a reverse 911 call, like the county has, but with many more options. We found some flaws in the reverse 911 system when we first looked at it, that a lot of folks wanted some information. Not for the lack of trying, we certainly tried to put that information out there, but if the system is down, we couldn't get to their cell phones, we couldn't get to the email system. It was only landlines. So this gives us the option to go into your cell phone. Most people have cell phones or smartphones that they can get text messages, cell phone calls, and email all in one. This will do that if you sign up. One click of the button, the message is going to go to all of those, and you can prioritize which one you want first. So the short answer is yes, we can target one street, we can target one area of the town, or we can hit the entire town in one shot.
For the facilitation of this program, once everybody gets their information in, probably most of the information will either come out of police dispatch or fire dispatch, or the command center if you had to institute the command center. We've had problems with the communication systems failing because of the weather.
Correct.
And will this system still be able to work if we had some kind of a breakdown in the rest of our communications, like we had
the biggest problem that we had during the storms is the phone lines were down. This does not go over just phone lines.
Okay.
So we're going over cellular towers and whatnot. Most of the storms don't knock out all of the cell towers.
Right.
So it will go that way as well. So that was the biggest downfall. The storms knocked down telephone wires and communication lines. We couldn't get the message out. This could be used for tell people where the shelters are, when they're open, when they're closing. Those were the issues we ran into last time. During the floods, we had issues of notifying certain areas of town. It was a time-consuming process. This will cut our time down and notify people the way they want to be notified. But we urge the citizens to sign up on the website and tell us what your cell phone number is, what your email address is. And I assure you that it will only be used for emergency situations from the fire department or police department. And I would hope that the rest of the people that have access would only use it for emergencies and not just to notify you that, school's out tomorrow or something else that's frivolous. That's my intention of using it, is strictly for emergencies.
Speak into the microphone, Chief. Speak into the microphone, Chief, because we can't hear you.
My intention is to use it for strictly emergency purposes only.
Good.
One of the things we did learn through our training sessions was that there's a 1-800 number. So in the event that we don't have communication, but we have cell phone ability, for whatever reason, they can send a message out. Code Red can send a message out for us with our voices or with text or whatever. So there's multiple avenues in case there's, power outage or whatnot.
I really don't have too much to add, but it is very important that the people put their phone numbers in here so they can be contacted, like in a storm. If one means of communication goes down and you have 2 phone numbers in there, then hopefully we can get a hold of you.
And now, Carolyn, you had mentioned that this was going to be linked with the Verizon database. Will this also be linked with the Comcast database? Because Comcast has a lot of phones in town also.
Initially, we purchased published and non-published lines from Verizon. That's the only provider that has supplied us with an initial database. So we have approximately 7,500 numbers that when we test tested this in our training, would come out with a message. Our campaign over the next several months, the G&E is going to put announcements in their newsletter for residents to sign up. We're putting it in the water bills. The press is here today. We're going to continue to remind people to do that, to continue to gain. But we have not gone to any other provider. There are so many providers for cell phone service that for us to purchase them, our, I guess, priority was to go to Verizon as one of the largest providers, and through this self-identification have people sign on with their cell phone numbers, because it's probably about 14 to 16 different providers that Code Red had expressed to us could potentially be a recipient of a message.
Right. But I'm thinking like Comcast has, you know, they're all over the town, and they have a lot of phone lines through their computer system, through their internet system. So even if you just restricted it to Verizon and Comcast, that would give you, I think, a broad base in the town. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people that have cell phones, and this would be perfect for them for the texting and all that. But I think you should maybe check with
Okay, we'll do that. We'll check with Comcast.
All right.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I have a few questions. I want to say thank you, because my wife and I, we don't have a landline, so we don't get any of the messages. So I'll appreciate the cell phone text messages and that type of thing, especially in the last storm where we lost power. I couldn't check on the website, so I didn't have an option of, I don't know, I think I was calling people trying to figure out what was going on, but I wasn't getting any notifications, and this will solve that problem for myself. I'm sure that my household isn't the only one that foregoes the landline for the cost. Interestingly enough, I got a message over the weekend about someone who had some issues, and this isn't really an emergency management issue at all, but someone had gotten some, they've been experiencing some rusty water through their water system, and they explained that they don't really get the newspaper and they don't really watch the selectmen's meetings. I know, I can't believe it either.
Well,
But
shucks.
so they, self-admittedly, they're not as in touch as maybe some of the people in town are, but they were wondering if there was some type of 911 type, reverse 911 type system that they could use when we're flushing the hydrants, or if there's an issue with a water where we're getting some discoloration. So,
Yeah, and certainly, you know, we're talking about public health. You know, the water system is the other, I think, intended user of this system, so we can notify people of.
but the key is, if you want to get these messages, you have to sign up.
Exactly.
Okay. If the phone doesn't ring, you know who it is?
Mr. Knowlton?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
which groups in town are going to be able to generate these messages?
We've identified 5 departments that are the super users of the Code Red system. That's not to say that we can't expand upon it, but the town manager has identified police, fire, the DPW, i.e. water, Middleborough Gas and Electric, and the town manager's office. It's limited for a purpose, because in a true emergency, quick decisions need to be made. These messages are instant, and the people that have the access as the super users will be able to generate a voice. One of the things that the trainer stressed was, if you have an emergency announcement come out, you want to have a voice that may be familiar to the residents. So typically, they really recommend it's the voice of someone in Middleborough, not their voice, or not a recorded voice that comes across the screen. So it would be a message from the fire chief, from the police chief, from the director of public works, general manager of gas and electric, the town manager. The rest of it is all data. So those are the 5 departments ideally that have access, but in the event of an emergency, they'd be all working together through the command center and would deploy messages as warranted.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair. Thank you. Also, I would like to say a lot of residents who get the notification from the school system are upset because it only goes to landlines. this being even more important, I think, is a vast improvement, and most people, as Selectman Frawley said, or many people barely check their landlines. I stay away from it as much as possible myself. So I think it's very important for the texting that it's a new era, and I'm very glad that you're implementing it. Thank you.
Mr. Quelp?
Chief Gates, a lot of smartphones out there now. Any chance we can get photographs now with our Amber Alerts?
What?
Amber Alerts that go out for children. Now that we got a lot of smartphones out there, is this able to upload photographs?
No, not this, and remember, Amber Alerts come from the state.
Okay.
So this, you know,
You
this
can't,
is,
well, all right, so
yeah.
if it was
But-
generated by a school system in our area initially, but it'd still have to flow through the state and back down?
Yeah.
I believe, excuse me, I believe you can send a photograph on this alert as well.
Okay.
You can't quote me on that, but I believe that you can do that. So if the police chief puts out an alert, I think he can attach that to this, but we will definitely find out for you and get back to you, but I believe you can.
Okay.
Just because I know that it's used in other systems that photographs have been deployed, I just don't know if we have that capability yet. And we'll have to check on that, right? It's capable, I don't
Yeah.
know if we have that yet.
Just seems like a real fast way to get a photograph out, but I know, I get what you're saying, though. It's got to be incorporated. I guess I wasn't thinking along those lines into the state and then back down, but, okay. We're getting there.
Any other questions? So when do we expect implementation
Well,
of
it's
this?
right now. It's up there right now. As you can see, the button's there. You click on that button, and it goes to the goes right to the sign-up
Registration's
area, and people can sign up and put it on. And the system is operational now. If we needed to use it tonight, we could use it tonight.
Yeah,
So
we
it's all ready to go. It's just that, right now, it's limited to landlines. Once we are able to accumulate people's email and mobile numbers, then it's more effective.
Let me ask a question, and maybe I'm missing something, but why would we have the Middleborough Gas and Electric? Is it for the gas side, where you maybe had a major gas leak? Because, I mean, really, I don't know if you got to tell me that the lights are out if I kind of look in the room.
Well, I
and-
think it would be more prudent for them to notify you of live wires down, et cetera. And I'm not speaking for them. I don't know if anybody's here to speak for them. But I would surmise that would be what it would be used for, downed wires, gas leaks, evacuations and such. I mean, a lot of that would come from us as well. And
I'm concerned that, information overload can hit, and people can start, I don't want to, this is a great idea, and it can work perfectly. I think back to the days of the flood, the storms, the 300-year storms we had in a row, and certain areas were flooded, and this would be a perfect thing to say, well, these people in this, right along this area have to evacuate. And boom, you pull the trigger. That's a great thing.
And I think that was one of our concerns, and that's why it's limited to 5 users right now, because we want to be cautious of overuse. When you overuse something like this, people stop listening.
Right.
And when they see it, they'll stop looking. We don't want them to do that. We want, when we send a message, we want them to pay attention to it. So we have to be cautious of overuse. And I think we discussed that at length on who's going to be able to use it and what messages we would be looking to put out there.
So
I can't answer for G&E, but
it's going to be the department heads that make the decision to pull the trigger to use this.
Absolutely.
When we applied for the grant, it was municipal departments that sit in on our safety committee, whose idea it was to apply for the grant, and we were successful in receiving it. But shortly thereafter, the town manager learned that the G&E was looking at an emergency notification system of their own. And so we said, why not come on board with us to collaborate? Because their experience was during the blizzard that people were frantic because they didn't know when their power was going to be restored. And they couldn't reach them effectively because they don't have any system in place to reach people who have no power. So by having the ability to call cell phones text and emails. That's what they were looking for in an emergency notification system. So they came to the table, they evaluated with us, they set in through the training. We're partnering with this. Beyond this grant, we're going to have expenses for subsequent years. We're willing to share costs and build upon this. So and the beauty in all this is they have a monthly newsletter that they generate. We have a website that we maintain. They have a website. So all that data is purged into one system through Code Red. So we just think it's a win-win for both. And they're very grateful, I think, to have been offered to join with the town in this through the town manager. And we have a commissioner here who would like to speak.
Good evening. Glenn Montepert, Vice Chair of the Middleborough G&E.
Congratulations.
Thank you. During the last storm, the G&E had lost power, the residents had lost power, I had lost power and phone and cell phone use. And we came to our attention that we can be more productive if we were able to send messages out to various residents in their areas to let them know what sections are being worked on, because there were trees down everywhere and it was slow moving and having to get rid of the trees that were knocking down the power lines to get to the people. Everyone was coming to the electric plant, which is a dangerous thing to do because there's trucks going in and out on icy roads. People are walking to the plant. So to avoid all of that and people coming to the plant, we were trying to get something like this up and running. So if your area was being worked on and you're going to be up that day, we can notify you. You're going to be up in a few hours, a few days. Go to your fallout shelter if it's going to be more than a few hours. And that was the idea we were trying to promote, to keep the residents informed as to where we are, because some of us were down for 4 days during the last storm. And that was an initiative we were trying to move forward, and luckily they had the same idea. By joining together, we could do that all at once.
Okay. Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Chief Benjamino, I think predominantly whenever there's a major incident, not including police activity, I mean, police activity is usually included, but not predominant. An incident not predominantly police activity related. But for the rest of the situations, you run the EOC, right?
Well,
and with all this information,
I think that it would be a unified system as it has been in the past, where the police chief, fire chief, town manager, or a representative from the Board of Selectmen, if it's that large of a large-scale incident, that it would be a unified command center where the decision would be made to either send out a message of what actually is going on and what people should expect, or what areas need to be evacuated.
Okay, good. All right. And Chief Gates, I didn't mean to minimize you on that at all. It's just that fortunately, we don't have a lot of those large-scale police activities in town that
No, I think he's referring to incident command, and you know, if we were all involved, then we'll come up with one message, and you're not going to have one from the G&E, one from us, one from the fire department. That's kind of foolish. So.
Right. Okay. Very good. Any other questions from the board?
I have one more question. Mr.
Yes.
Chair. Go ahead, ma'am.
Just a second. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Fire chief made some great points about overuse and whatnot. You know, you really want this to be, I mean, whenever they receive an alert, that it's special and that they're all going to, you know, pick up their phone and answer it. So it seems here, and maybe Caroline, you can help me out here. It says here alert types when you do your online app. It says you can actually choose whether or not you want just emergency notifications, general notifications, or both. But then it also says create an account to easily manage your preferences. So are there further preferences other than just those that you can actually put in there so that you're only receiving certain notifications and not others?
I am not familiar enough to answer that. I know that when we have an emergency message, we're sending it out to everyone, and we're allowed to do that through the system. Mm. If there is some elective on what you're looking at to allow you to elect out of things, that may be possible, but I do not believe that you can elect out of an emergency notification because it's designed to reach all numbers.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I guess we'll find, I'll find out when I go and sign up, but, all right. But, it's important for the people to know that you do, it seems like you have some ability to scrub out certain things you might not want to be alerted to.
I just did that, in fact. If you look under alert types, you can't uncheck emergency notifications. That's a required element, but it says general notifications, and you can elect to take that out. Now, I think we've talked about today that we're not going to use this for general notifications. This is going to be only reserved for emergencies. Right. So, okay. I don't know what we want to do with that. We'll have to think about whether or not we want to leave that in there, but I can understand your point.
Which is important for people to know, that if you get something through this system, it's important, and you should answer it.
Yeah.
Don't ignore the call.
Exactly.
All right. Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
A question just occurred to me. Would this system be able to be accessed by the federal government?
No. Only us.
Or this is just local?
Just us.
Okay, great.
Okay.
My name's Wendy Jars, and I got a couple of questions because I listened to it's a great program. I don't disagree. One of my concerns is you said it was only, what, for Verizon customers, is that right?
We purchased data from Verizon, so that's what initially established the database.
But is that only going to cover Verizon?
No, as we're saying tonight, we're asking people to give us their information. It doesn't matter which provider they have. We purchased the Verizon data just because it's the most comprehensive available.
Okay.
But, we want everybody's information that's willing to give it to us.
I guess my second question is that what happens when the grant is up in the year? Do you reapply?
We will continue operating this. I mean, the grant allowed us to get this off the ground at no cost, but we'll have to be able to fund it year to year because, I think once you have it in place, you're not going to give it up.
I guess my next question then would be, what's the response time? Because I just looked at a newspaper article from Bridgewater and the Independent, and the response time from the prisoners was an 8-hour time lapse. So what is your response time?
Well, that's the very reason we have this, because we found in going through the county that, we couldn't be sure how quickly the information would get out. This goes out, instantaneously, and it gets the, what's the, Carolyn, do you know what the full notification would be? For the entire?
In my file, from the time that you input your message, the time it takes you, they immediately begin sequencing of calls, and they have data which says how many calls they're reaching by minute. You can generate reports with this if we wanted to see. They will call up to 5 times until they reach, including an answering machine is a connect. A text message acknowledgement is a connect. They have analysts that just do this on behalf of the software. So they do not give up in terms of notification. And the beauty in this is we're asking residents to give us additional means to notify them.
I agree, she's right. I looked up that information. I did a little bit of homework on that system and on the reverse call. And she is right about that. But there is a lapse from the time that notification, or at least these departments know, and they notify the residents. I mean, I can give you an example from Bridgewater. It says clearly that, here it is, the accountability checks from the prison were done at 6:30 p.m. By 8 p.m. is when the call started coming in. So that's an hour and a half delay. And by the time Bridgewater got it out, it was 8:30, so that's a 2-hour delay. By the time that they were finished calling everyone, it was 2:50 a.m. in the morning.
Well,
that's a 4.5-hour difference. And I know what she's saying. It's instantaneously from the time they input it, but how long is it from the time that you receive your information from the police or the fire department about the incident to the time you start putting it in this website is what I'd like to know.
Caroline will get that for you and give you a call tomorrow.
Okay. I hope that it is.
From the tests that we've done on this, it's a matter of minutes from when you put the information in and send that message out.
That's when you're making the decision to send it out.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
What I'm asking, from Bridgewater.
Speak into the microphone,
Okay,
please.
I'm sorry.
I misunderstood you, first of all.
That's okay. From Bridgewater's survey that I looked at, their incident report stated, and it wasn't the first time, their incident report stated that it took them almost nearly, 2 hours just to get the incident out, to get it into the call system. That's 2 hours delay while someone's walking around in my neighborhood. That's a long time.
Well, all right, Charlie said that you will hear, but first of all, this isn't just for prisoner escapes.
I'm not saying it's for prisoners, I'm
okay?
saying for
This
safety
is-
issues in this town.
The chief gets a call because there's a glorious red ball of fire going up at the train yards, and he makes a decision that we've got to evacuate an area. He's going to pull the plug on that very quickly. He's not going to wait 2 hours to let you know. He's going to start that going because he knows what he's dealing with.
Yes, I
Same with the
understand
police
that.
chief.
But what are you gonna do when your High Point and your McLean come and your incident reports come and you're gonna be down there? And I know you're aggravated about it, but I live in that neighborhood.
Well, it's a matter of minutes then, because once they
It is a
get...
matter of minutes.
Excuse me, that's the prison system, that's a different system, miss.
Other towns are having the same issue. Why don't you guys do a little bit of homework and Google it and find out? This is not the first report I've looked at. I've looked at other towns, I've looked at others'
With this type of
cases.
system?
I have looked and looked and looked, and
With-
I've done my homework.
With this type of system?
No, reverse 9/11 and this system. I looked at both systems.
You've
That's
looked
why
at this
I knew
system?
exactly what she was talking about, because I looked at both of them.
Good, okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
How you doing tonight?
Can I just mention something else? I mean, one of the reasons that I was brought here was to talk about the reverse 9/11. So what you're stating to the town is you're not putting a reverse 9/11 in. Is that correct? This is your alternative?
This is a
Yes.
reverse 911 system.
Yes, but it's only available to people who have cell phones. What
No,
happens
no,
to
it's
the rest
not.
of us?
No.
Let me just clarify. This is an addition to reverse 911. If we want to use reverse 911 from the county, we can still use that. This system includes landlines, cell phones, and emails, and text messages. The reason we looked at this is because the county system only includes landlines, which are going by the wayside. Now, to clarify your question, is not the response time of the system. Your question is the response time of the people in charge for the police chief to make a decision and notify you that there's a prisoner. Or the fire chief to notify you that you need to be evacuated. That's your question, is that correct?
No, whether it's evacuation, a gas leak.
How soon we make that decision to notify you, correct?
Somebody, escaped from one of these psychiatric wards, whatever, it doesn't matter. Whatever the safety measure is, I need to be notified because McLean Hospital, there's an article out there, read it. I can take a look at it. In 2011, McLean Hospital had an incident that one of their patients went to the facility and it was locked down. The state came in, the SWAT team came in and shut the whole entire area down. What am I going to do when my 13-year-old kid is sitting at home and I can't get down my street and that that person's in there? That's my question, is how safe am my area going to be when you put these facilities in, whether it's these facilities or it's any other incident that happens in this town? It scares me to think that I'm not going to have that good of a response time, because I've looked at a lot of the criteria out there from different towns. I think this is a great system, it's a good backup plan, don't get me wrong. But I need to know, as a citizen of this town, how safe am I going to be and what is that response time going to be for me? Because I don't want to be coming home from work and my street be shut down. I don't want to be having my 13-year-old calling for me from work and be worried that she can't go out her back door. Or I don't want to wait 4.5 hours for somebody to tell me on a call line or even the reverse 911 to tell me 4 hours later that the guy has already been out there for 4 hours. That's what I'm worried about, and that's my concern. It isn't about a prisoner. It's about the safety and the welfare of the people of this town, and that's what I'm worried about.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I think you have some very competent professional managers at all your departments. When faced with decisions like this, they make them quickly and with the best interests of the public at heart. So I don't think we can tell an exact time in every situation, only to say that when faced with situations that require a response, these people make those responses quickly and act accordingly, and now we have the tool with which to inform people better than we had before. So I think that's the basis of this discussion tonight. I can't speculate on, you know, scenarios that are, that we haven't dealt with.
Right.
So, I rely on who we've got, and I've got a great confidence in the people that we've hired.
Right.
And I know they'll do a good job when faced with a difficult situation.
I do. I totally agree with you. I think that we have competent people working for our town. I don't disagree. But what I'm saying is there is other evidence out there, other beyond what we have actually had for incidents here. Take a look at that.
We will.
Because
Thank
you should have based that
We will.
decision on
Thank
that.
you.
I
Thank you.
understand that this is a backup plan, and really what this meant to this meeting was the backup plan is great, and then we're just going to implement it. And I think that's great. But it's limited to what it's going to provide us.
We will. We will look at that. Thank you.
Okay, that's what I'm asking this board,
Thank
is to really do some homework.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. Do you need anything?
Oh, yeah, now, the second thing is our, a smartphone app that we've joined in with a number of other cities and towns. I think you read about it in the paper recently, and again, Caroline will take you through that.
We had applied through the city of Boston to be a pilot community for this Commonwealth Connect smartphone application, and we're notified in December that we were like one of 42 towns to be selected to participate. So for the next 3 years, under the auspices of a grant that the city of Boston received, we have the luxury of implementing this Commonwealth Connect application. In a nutshell, it is a service request automated format. We will never not take a phone call or a walk-in or a letter or an email or an unanticipated remark from any resident in the town of Middleborough. If you want to reach the town, we will answer. But for those people, for that next generation who is tied to an iPad, an iPod, an iPhone, a smartphone, they can reach us as well. And that's the audience that we're trying to get to. We've identified 3 service requests that we feel are kind of closed. You can report a zoning issue. You can report illegal dumping. There's an oven, there's a TV, there's a dishwasher on Wood Street precincts, you name it, or other, which will fall to the town manager's office. And what we seek is that if you would like to submit a service request via this application, you can either go onto the Town of Middleborough website and click on the Commonwealth Connect app, which is this picture of a telephone, which has the Town of Middleborough seal on the front for a trademark, and report it through our website at home, or you yourself can go, and depending upon the device you own, can go to your respective store and download the application. It's a free application. And I don't profess to be an expert on smartphone use, but there's an app for Androids, there's an app for iPhones. They're all comparable in the type of data that it's seeking for you to input. So, for example, this is through the Town of Middleborough website. Street address, you're going to report the street address of potentially where the issue is. If it's a zoning violation, right now, that little bulb is on 10 Nickerson Ave because that's where the iPad is from, the town manager's iPad. But the street address is the location of the actual area that you want to have serviced, and then you state Middleborough, Mass. When you go to the next screen, it's going to ask you for your name, your address, your phone number. You need to describe the issue. If you want to attach a photo or any kind of other data, you can do that as well. We can't take you to the second screen without finishing the first page, which is why we're kind of stopped here. But it's a very simple, like anything online, you go in and you fill the spaces. If you don't finish something, 10 Nickerson Ave, Middleborough, Mass. 02346.
We're going to pay you by the word.
going to be the same on your smartphone or through the web to submit your service request. I think just select yes, because we're going to leave it that the issue is here at 10 Nickerson Ave. And then you just want to report. I've set up automated fields beyond what's here, but as the resident or visitor to the town, when they want to use this application, they can select the category, they can put the description in. We need to have their information in order to respond, their email. And then it directly sends an email to the departments. The zoning service request will go to the building department. The illegal dumping requests are going to go to the DPW. And the other category, which would be any kind of request, would come to the town manager's office. The staff will then receive the request. With this system, we can generate a work order. We don't have a work order system in place currently. So the DPW may use the work order device to give it to the employees to go and complete it. And then we send out an acknowledgement, and we send out closing remarks, and your service request is complete. The other thing about this Commonwealth Connect reporting system is under the issues category on a daily basis, it's going to manage our data. So any complaints that have come in, you can see how many we received, what areas of town, what are the nature of the complaints. So it basically keeps a continual log. And similar to the Code Red, we can generate a report for a particular need should a department head, need to pull something based on a particular concern. So we're piloting this. It's ready to go. It's on our website now. I know one 11-year-old little girl in North Middleborough downloaded it to her mother's iPad last week. So we have it at home at our house, thankfully. So we play with it at home. The staff is downloading it. A lot of the employees that are going to be managing this in their departments have it on their smartphones, the water department employees, building department employees. So again, with the help of the press that are here, through other resources we have, we want to encourage people to download it on their own device, or feel free to come to the town website to augment the existing complaint systems we have in place by submitting something electronically.
Under other, is it possible to, can you make any changes to what's there?
We certainly can.
All right. Under other, could you put like a little drop-down menu of some of the more predominant items that might be, people might be reporting, maybe streetlights out or stoplights out?
I think the idea is let's see what gets reported, and then from that I think we can learn what we're getting, and then we could make it a little easier for people.
Okay. All right. Would you please get up and...
She mentioned about an acknowledgement, and I know with some of the other companies out there that, Verizon's one of them, but they have chat rooms that you can go in there. Their acknowledgement just says thank you for your letter, and it's, it's pretty generic, and that's it. It doesn't give you a resolution. Is your acknowledgement stating, is that going to state a resolution, or are you going to get back to that person about the resolution? I guess that's my question.
We built in standard acknowledgements, but there's also the ability to opt out of the standard acknowledgement and write your own acknowledgement. But the intent is to acknowledge that we've got the request, and then we'll respond when we close out the request saying, your matter's been handled and addressed. Thank you for reporting this to the town of Middleborough. So the intent is to have service requests that we can manage. And we felt, after evaluating and sitting in on what other places are doing, that it would be manageable to have a data input for a zoning issue or potentially illegal dumping, because we can address them and we can respond. Some of the other things that are more open-ended, like my rubbish wasn't picked up, well, there's a few more questions. There's a lot more that goes into it than you can just report on a quick tab. So we chose not to do something like that. Okay. But we have the ability to build as many service requests as we feel warranted based on what the pilot data shows us.
Right. Good. Thank you. Any other questions? Board members? And is this free? This,
For 3 years.
for 3 years, good. Free's good. No other questions? Okay, thank you. Next item is to discuss purchasing town's option to buy the Chapter 61B recreational land at 68 Purchase Street. Charlie, you want to?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just let me frame this discussion for you. And you discussed this at your last meeting. I think as the notification stands, council has said it doesn't meet the criteria of the statute. And I think before you is a choice tonight between responding to this notification with a letter acknowledging it, but also pointing out its deficiencies, if you have any interest at all in pursuing this as something that you think the town should own. However, conversely, the other course of action would just be to say, we're really not interested, go ahead and pursue your transaction. So I think that's the decision before you tonight. If you want more information, I think you have to spell out what was wrong with the notification. But if you're not interested at all, there's no sense in playing it out or extending the time frame. I think the thing to do is just to forego the right of first refusal and let them go on with their transaction.
Okay. There you go. You've heard it. Questions? Board members?
Information from the Conservation Commission, they said that they'll be meeting on the 15th and that they don't have any comments until after that meeting. I'm wondering if we should hear from them.
Mr. Chair, I did speak with them too.
Before we decide a yay or a nay on this. Unfortunately, we don't meet for another 2 weeks, so I don't know if that would fall into the time frame to have a proper discussion or.
Is there a time frame requirement?
Yeah, I think we have 30 days, so I'm not sure waiting another 2 weeks would allow us to respond properly.
Mr. Chair, I did speak with Tricia today, and they have gotten back 300 surveys. They've gotten through 150 of them to give them a good idea of the surveys for the beach, and there are only 24% that are in favor of a town beach.
Right.
At this point.
That's the open space planning
Yes.
survey?
Yes.
Survey?
It's up 4% from the 2008, but it's still only at 24%.
We have a very nice town pool.
I agree.
It operates very well. They do a good job, and they have lifeguards, and there's just a lot of problems with a town beach, I would think. Plus, the town to own 41 acres of land, it's, we're not going to pay taxes on our own land, so I don't want to own any more land than I have to. I have to own a lot of land for wells and so forth.
Well, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
There's a fair amount of value to this land as far as owning the town, if the town purchasing it. If we partnered with the Wildlands Trust, the Nature Conservatory, Mass Wildlife, there's a ton of options to keep this wild. As far as the town beach, I grew up in Lakeville. I could run through the woods and spend the summers swimming a clear pond. You can never discount the value of a public swimming pond to me. In fact, I bought a seasonal membership at Clear Pond and spent Saturday and Sunday there with my family. I also just spent the last week at Acadia National Park, and I can't imagine the amount of foresight that the founders of the National Park System had to conserve that much land for the enjoyment of the people. And I personally think that conserving land for recreation of wildlife and hunting and fishing and all that is a huge benefit to the town. As a town that has 5 wildlife management areas in it already, I don't think the value of that can ever be understated. I think it's worth, I'm not saying I'm in favor, I'm certainly not in favor of spending $2.5 million on this. But I would be in favor of at least exploring it a little bit more. We don't have any feedback from any of the town departments yet. It would be negligent on our part, in my opinion, to say, no, we're not interested without hearing from anybody.
Okay.
This isn't a decision that we should make by ourselves in any way, shape, or form. That's just my opinion.
But we're constrained by time.
We can ask our town council to write back and say, we don't believe that this is a bona fide offer, and list the things that are deficient in the offer, thereby buying us the time to make a proper decision.
Okay, is that your motion?
I'd be more than happy to make a
discuss
motion. I
that
mean,
in a minute. Anybody else have any? Yes?
Well, right now, what's the deadline?
It's 30 days from receipt, right?
From the 24th of July. 30 days from the 24th of July, which is about 10 days from now, 12 days from now.
Are you still thinking of your second question?
Well, I mean, we have special meetings. I'm sure every committee can have them. It's just, they don't need to, and like everybody, to make a legal meeting, they only have to post within, what, 48 hours? So I'm just saying, if the Conservation Commission decided they wanted to have a special meeting, they can do it.
Okay.
I'm just trying to come up with some ideas, you know, like I say, it is important. I mean, he makes some good points. I'd really like to hear from these.
Mr. Frawley has a good suggestion of sending back a letter from town council indicating.
Yeah. People always
what
delay
is
stuff on
perceived
us.
as inaccuracies.
It's got to work for us, doesn't it? I think, okay,
I mean, one thing to keep in mind too is it's August. I just came back from vacation. A lot of these boards are on some schedules and are on vacation. You know, quorums are difficult at the Conservation Commission. I was a member. You know, if two people are out of town, one person has an issue, you know, then you don't have a quorum, you can't have a meeting. Well, we're having a discussion right now.
No, we're having a discussion. All right.
So, I guess what we're looking for are avenues to have an extension to the 30 days.
We
And
have
Charlie,
an
what's the
option of asking town council to send
Yeah.
an offer back with our list of things we need completed before we can make a viable decision. And in that time, we can also get some more input from other departments.
Seems like a reasonable request. As I said, we always get stuff delayed on us. I mean, I'd love to buy myself some more time.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I was at the Parks Commission meeting this month, last week as well, for something else, and Fran Cass did bring this up to me. He did ask me about it. He and the entire commission said that they could not manage this. It would be, they're already stretched staff-wise, and it would be a terrible burden. They didn't see how they could manage something like this.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'd like to echo that concern. We have a beautiful park system already. We have that Olympic-sized pool downtown, and it's very hard to staff it. And if we pick up another parcel of land and we want to have it for swimming, then we've got to staff it. And we're already looking at some big outlays here in the future. I don't see that anything's changed since the last time this came up before the town that would make us say that, you know, this is a property that we'd want to acquire.
I'd just like to reiterate, I'm not saying I'm in favor of
Right. No, I
or
understand what you're
not in
saying.
favor of it. I think to make a decision right now without the information that we should have in front of us would be negligent on our part. We don't have the information. We just don't have the information to make an informed decision right now. We don't even have the information if this is a valid offer.
Mr. Chair.
I don't think it would hurt to ask town council to look into this and to wait and make it. We can say no at any point in time in the future. But if we say no now, we can never say yes.
Might I ask that you ask Mr. Frawley to make his motion so we can move forward? I completely agree. Let's send a letter and say that, you know, this is not done correctly, give ourselves the time, gather the information. Let's move forward.
We had one.
To Alan Farley, I want to say thank you very much. Your first Board of Selectmen, I have to say, that actually is going to pen something that I've heard probably in 2 months. And that was the only thing I wanted to say to you is thank you, because even if I don't agree with whatever your decision is here, or whatever you decide, at least you took the effort to say, let's pen it based on that decision. It is the first time that I've heard from 2 different departments, 3, this is the 3rd one, that I've actually heard somebody say, let's pen something. And you know what? It takes a lot to stand up there and say that. And please, if anything, you should start investigating this stuff, because you shouldn't make arbitrary decisions based on anything, because we just made an arbitrary decision that went to the wayside. And personally, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
Board members have anything else? Mr. Paul?
No.
Certainly.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'd just like to support what you said, actually, and I represent the Fay Avenue Association. My name is Paul Despinoza, and Selectman Frawley's been very supportive of our attempts to manage, or at least look into the invasive species in the pond, and to discuss the possibilities of the herring. And I'm very glad to hear that the herring have come back so strongly. But I guess, and I don't want to take up a lot of time, just to say I think it's a good idea. We don't have a strong opinion either way about this either, but to look into it, I think is a thoughtful thing to do and an important thing to do. Thank you.
Barbara Holton, 68 Purchase Street. My comment would be that, yes, look into it further, but is it really necessary does the town have the money to purchase the property? If they don't have the funds to purchase the property, I don't foresee dragging this on for any length of time to say whether or not the purchase and sale is legitimate. The purchase and sale is legitimate. I mean, even if the amount, if the town appraised the property at a different amount, would they still have $2 million to buy the property? I don't think the town, they don't even have the money to put staff on the beach. How can they purchase a $2.5 million piece of property? Yes, I would like to see, you know what? I would like to see the land stay the way it is. I always wanted to see it stay that way, but it's out of my hands now because I have been forced out of town.
Barbara, thank you. If we elect to buy this piece of property, we have the vehicles available.
You have the funds available to buy the property.
We have the vehicles available to buy the property, yes, we do.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, that's probably, in my opinion, the town doesn't have that kind of money, but yes, do look into it further.
Thank you.
As far as the legitimacy of the purchase and sale, is it as legitimate as any purchase and sale that there is out there?
There are questions, and we will have our
on the
attorney.
market.
Thank you. Thank you, Barbara.
Good evening. Glenn Montefort, Marion Road. As Selectman Dalpy has mentioned many times, and as Selectman Knowlton just mentioned, we have a school we're going to be building. We have we have a police station we're going to be building, and we also have a water system that we're going to be working on. That's a ton of money we're going to be spending out shortly. I ask that your taxes not be raised by going for something extra.
We haven't decided to. We're in the beginning.
Mr. Chair, just to clarify, so everybody understands this, the Board of Selectmen cannot purchase a postage stamp without approval from town meeting. Not a postage stamp. Nothing. We don't spend any money. I spend more money being a selectman than the board spends at all. All of our approvals, anything the town purchases, has to be approved through town meeting. If this goes forward, and that's a huge if, this goes forward, the town would have to take a vote at a town meeting and approve this purchase. All I'm asking for at this point in time is the information to make a decision if we should move forward. That's all.
And all I'm asking is, as a good corporation, you look at your budget and see what your liabilities are and what your profits are, and to act accordingly as if this was a big corporation.
We don't have profits.
There you go.
Trust me on that. I would love to see some profits, but it's not that kind of deal.
That's all I'm asking.
Well, that's what we do.
Thank
We
you,
try to do that in a fair and balanced way. Okay, Mr. Yes, one more.
I'm Harry Pickering, anybody doesn't know. I'm here representing the Western Forest Committee. I would hope that as we pursue this, in whatever direction we want to go, that the Western Forest would be included in it as well as the Conservation Commission. There's such a thing as a Massachusetts Land Trust, in which we happen to be members of it, and we would like to pursue, if necessary, the options that they would provide to us.
Thank you. Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Frawley.
I'd like to make a motion that we ask town council to respond to the memo or the notification by asking for the pertinent information so that we can move forward.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Comments or questions?
Mr. Chair, when town council submits this challenge in the next to the offer, as to whether it's a bona fide offer under the stipulations of 61B, I would like to request that a couple things that I noticed on there be included. Number one, the discrepancy in the acreage. Number two, the contingencies in the purchase and sales agreement negate the 61B in the fact that they are dependent on certain zonings being changed, and that they incorporate not only the land, which is the 61B, but the residence, which is not. Also, there is a big discrepancy in the town's appraisal value and the offer, so that money would have to be looked at, the price.
That's why we're sending him to the attorney.
Yeah, well, I just want to make sure that those are in there. Thank you. Yep, that's all.
Can you add to your motion that you authorize the chairman to sign said letter?
And I'd like to amend my motion with the option for the chairman to sign the letter.
Okay, I need a second on the amendment. We have a second on the amendment. Take the amendment first. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you, Alan. Now on the main motion. Any questions, comments on the main motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Town managers report.
No, we still have
ghosts.
the...
Hold it, ghosts.
Ghosts.
What am I doing here? Ghost hunters.
That'll come back to haunt you.
That will.
Mr. Chairman,
That's too easy.
This item came out of a discussion Selectman Ferrari and I had a couple months ago about a couple different things relating to the intermittent requests we get from people to come into the building and do investigations, and whether or not we should be a little bit more selective in terms of the authorizations we give. And I think that was based on some information we received after one of the events. And while we put in there about Corey background checks, while that's probably not an option, certainly the option of doing a little due diligence before we made any commitments to these events, I think would be prudent. And I think that's something Alan and I agreed on, and I think what we'd be looking for your assistance in is that sometimes these requests come into directly to selectmen for whatever reason. People get called out of the blue, and I think if we ran everything through my office and handled it like we handled any other rental or use of the building and facility, then it would give us time to do a little due diligence. And so that's what I would be asking tonight, that when it comes to any future ghost investigations, we handle them as we would handle any other request, and just run it through my office. Is that fair to say, Alan?
That's fine with me.
Okay.
Would you like a motion with that?
That would be great.
Mr. Frawley, would you like to make a motion?
I'd make a motion that any future ghost hunts or tours be routed, requests for, be routed through the town manager's office.
Do we have a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'm still more than happy to come in here and chaperone the tours when, or hunts, whatever they are, when they're in here looking for them. I have no qualms with that, but this all came about because there was a question of whether or not someone had access to private records, which was never, ever the case. But just to err on the side of caution, I brought this up to Mr. Costello, and this seems to be a pretty good compromise on how we move forward.
Very good. Any other comments or questions on the ghost hunting expeditions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Now, in line with that, one of the other things we discussed is, well, what could we do that may be a little more helpful to the town in regards to the reputation we're building up around ghosts? And it just so happens that we've been contacted by a ghost tour company that's been running tours both in Boston and Plymouth for, probably 30 years. And they've expressed an interest in doing something similar in Middleborough. And Jane Cudsey actually took one of the ghost tours in Boston this past weekend and talked with the owner and operator. It sounds like an interesting idea. I think it goes in line with our desire to bring people in town for tourism and cultural events. And I think we'll be receiving a proposal in the not too distant future to do something along those lines. So just an update, and we'll keep you informed.
Beautiful. I think it's great. I paid money to go down to Plymouth and sit in the basement, pretend to be scared.
You're touched, all right.
I think it's a great idea.
I have...
I don't know him.
Okay.
Moving right along.
That's good.
Yeah, moving right along. Yeah. Town manager's report.
I would
Okay.
actually like to go back to the Holton thing. I don't know if there's anything that can be done about this technically, but when you look at the map of the property, it looks like I'm looking at, like the panhandle of Florida from the space shuttle.
At night.
At night. I mean, it's black with white dots on it. And I'm sorry. Is there something technically we can do to get better imagery on these? Okay, will all you whiz kids get together and figure this out? Because I'm getting sick of looking at black pages that I'm supposed to represent
We'll take care of
something.
it.
There's actually
We'll take care of it.
Good.
Sorry, there's an actual website out there that gives you topographical
Right.
structures.
Good.
It's out on the website if you
All
want
right.
to look at it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Google Earth.
All right, our manager's report.
Mr. Chairman, just a couple items. The first is our Chapter 90 allocation for the year. While it wasn't everything we hoped to get, it's still $875,000, which is about double of what we got a couple years ago. So it's going in the right direction anyway. I think hopefully the governor will decide to give us the rest in the not too distant future. But as we all know, it's not money we can put to use this year anyway. It's too late. So this will be next year's money. We've already started the work with last year's money, which they gave us too late last year to use last year. So, but we're getting a lot of work done, and I think Plymouth Street came out very nice. I don't know if you've been down there, but they did a very nice job down there.
It's all complete now? That section?
The binder's down. The binder will sit over the winter. We won't put the top in until next year.
Okay. All right. Good.
And then got a communication through the ICMA recently about the ongoing problem in Congress over things related to municipal government, and I guess there's some concern that the tax-exempt nature of municipal bonds as well as CDBG funding are at risk. So I'd like to draft a letter for us to send to our congressman and our senator just to remind them how important this is to local government, not to allow these things to go by the wayside. We were very fortunate this year getting the CDBG grant, and hopefully that'll continue. That's It's a very important part of our updating infrastructure in town, and we certainly can't afford to see that go away. And then what's not here is we attended a meeting on Friday where we discussed the potential retirement assessments for the coming year. I think I've talked about this in the past about how the updating of mortality tables could have a pretty devastating effect on our budget. And in fact, if nothing else changes, we'd be looking at a 26% increase in our retirement assessment next year. Now, there are possibilities to mitigate that by stretching the funding schedule out a few years. For example, if it went out 4 more years, we'd knock 12% off that, so the increase would only be about 14%. And I think that's something that's more manageable for us.
$500,000 though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a chunk. Luckily, this is a once in a decade plus that these tables have to be updated. So it's not likely that we're going to see this kind of thing every 2 years, but certainly this year it's a pretty large increase. And so I think we have to send the message back to our county retirement board, and I think it might be helpful if one of the selectmen also made calls. I'm making calls, but if somebody could volunteer to do that, that would help.
You need calls made to the legislators?
Well, really, it's to the retirement board. The retirement board makes the decision here. So that's the county treasurer.
Legislature on that though? Aren't they pinned down by the legislature on that?
No. What the legislature did several years ago was they allowed all the systems to move their schedules out to 2040 if they needed to for this kind of issue. We haven't. We've kept our schedule going out to 2030. So we have a little room to move the schedule out in order to reduce the annual assessment. So I think when you think about it, I think 26% increase is about $1.2 million. Our Prop 2.5 increase every year that we're allowed is less than $800,000. So that would eat up all of our Prop 2.5 increase, all of our new growth, and all of our new local receipts just to pay for that one expense. So it's just not something we can afford. So I think we have to try and get them to commit to a lesser increase and some extension of the funding schedule.
Can you send out something in writing on that too?
Yeah, I will.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. Is Tom O'Brien on that?
He is. Tom's the chairman of that retirement board, so I think
I could call him.
that would
If you
be
need me
wonderful.
to, I'd be glad to meet with you and get this together.
Yeah, if we could have one of you to call, and I'll send something out to everybody, with some highlights
I'll
about
call
it.
them. No, what about our surrounding towns?
Everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody is making calls because everybody's in the same boat.
Like to be in the...
Yeah, we're not
Get
the only one by
everybody
any
together.
means, no.
Yeah.
What a boat to be in.
Yeah, it's called a sinking ship if this were not to change. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, correspondence? Mr. Quelp, start with you.
Follow me down here. Let me go. So we have a lot of correspondence related to Cape Flyer. I'll let Selectwoman Delphi handle that because I know some of these letters were in direct response to the work she had done. Charlie, I just wanted you to, if you could touch a little bit more on the treasure collector foreclosure of properties. There was one on there, and it dealt with tax implications on this property.
Item 4.
Let's see.
Number 4 is the item that it goes to right after Senator Pacheco's letter. I just want to make sure I'm understanding that. I mean, it goes back to like 2006.
Again, it's another one of these things where we had to foreclose for non-payment of taxes. It goes back to, like you said, 2006. And it's land only. The fortunate thing about this is there's nobody living there.
Okay, so it's been foreclosed, and as far as tax implications and all that, it's a wash. I mean, they didn't pay the taxes. We foreclosed on the
depends
property.
on if we can get anything for it. I mean, I don't know what I don't have anything on what the outstanding taxes are, but Or is it right here? No, that's the appraisal. Yeah, I can let you know what the total taxes owed are.
Okay.
Okay?
As always, I think it's important for us to make an announcement. There is a job posting, station operator from Middleborough Gas and Electric. Is that still open? Still open? So it hasn't been filled. I know sometimes by the time it gets to us, it's already been filled, but just folks out there, please go on our website and take a look at this job posting for a station operator. I believe it has somewhat of an electrical background that they're looking for, but some requirements there. I know we get this once in a while, and maybe this is a little too early. Robert Malcolm sends us these notices from time to time, but as it relates to the residents possibly becoming the owner-operators of that park, has anything changed for him? What happens to this guy?
Yeah, that's a very interesting
I'm
question.
not trying to stir the pot or anything, but I mean, that was pretty well directed at the estate of. So, all right, you know what? Cross that when we get there.
Yeah.
The Carver, we got a letter from the Zoning Board of Appeals in Carver. We'll be having a meeting.
Last week.
I'm sorry, happened last week. I haven't gotten the full ins and outs on how that went, but just, to give Lilani and the new selectmen. This is the thing with the solar panels. I know this kind of was something that we, and I think what happened was that the building inspector there, and this dealt with obviously citizens of Middleborough who are right on the line there, and this is solar panels that are going into the Cranberry Bog right across from our citizens who live there in the community. I believe the building inspector had slapped a cease and desist because of zoning, which we had talked about. It's agricultural and residential. It has nothing to do with the fact of somebody wanting to start a business of selling energy from solar panels. So I haven't gotten the scoop on exactly how that turned out, but I'll make some phone calls and maybe unanticipated or something in a couple of weeks. Give an update on how that goes, or how that went, excuse me. Did get a check from Cumberland Farms. I want to thank Cumberland Farms for being very responsive and professional and getting us our $100 fine check right away. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, my favorite subject, yes. The ghost trains continue, and people are they're losing their patience fast. It's only a matter of time. I did speak with Senator Pacheco's office, and they did acknowledge that they had received this letter from the state on July 18th, but they did not forward it to us because there was a typo in it. Don't kill the messenger. Okay? I'm just relaying the answer that I got. So now they've forwarded it, the same letter. I don't see where the typo was, but which essentially said that they were going to be doing some work down there at the Rock Village Railroad property and putting fences in, more signage. I do not anticipate getting any warning when they're going to be down there doing that. And I think maybe we should send a letter to them. I know it sounds redundant, but we should send a letter to them saying that the chief of the police has requested that when they are doing work down there, they notify us, because we need to have a police detail there, because if those gates go down, people are going to think they can go around them all the time. And they can't. We know this. So I would like to move that we send them a letter stating we need to be notified when work is being done so that we can have a detailed police officer down there.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Comments or questions?
We bill them for that detail?
Oh, they have to pay for it. That is part of it. When they request, they pay for it. Do I need to amend that or put that in there, please? That is part of the deal.
Okay.
No, you don't have to amend it.
Okay.
That's a given.
That's a given, okay.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it.
And other than that, on these letters, I don't know what else we can do. I can call and send an email as well to Senator Pacheco's office stating that we are sending our letter, just so that everybody has the correspondence.
Send an email, you won't waste your
My phone
46
minutes.
cents.
Okay. And that's all I have on that. Selectman Quill.
Relative to your Cape Flyer, they're going to extend that to October.
Yes, they are. They are extending it to October because it's been a great success. They made their quotas.
Has the town gotten any notice of that?
No.
No, we find out from the press.
When I email, I will also include that as to officially tell us what's going on with the extension to October, as well as our intention of sending the letter to request the police detail.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Farley?
I'd like to say thank you to the fire chief for securing yet another grant. Keep up the good work, chief. And thank you for your letter, also regarding David Breyer. That's about it for me. My issues have been, can I, just on the correspondence, I actually received a letter here today from the City of Taunton, the Office of the Mayor, Mr. Hoy. He sent us a copy of the letter that he sent in to Secretary Davies, asking the state to please, it sounds kind of funny on the heels of the discussion we just had, but asking the state to fully examine the benefits of each option in addition to the overall cost of the project as far as the Rotary is concerned. So I do appreciate that from Mayor Hoy's office. So, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Mayor Hoy, next time we see him.
I will.
Please. Mr. Knowlton?
Number 5, Jane Cutsey writes and tells us that they're moving forward with the 2013 Community Development Block Grant that we entered into with the town of Fairhaven. And they're moving forward with the next step in that process. And then also number 8, yeah, that's great. Chief Benjamino has gotten us more money. That's excellent. That would be all I have.
Okay. Chair. Chief, I just want to say thank you for your letter. Maybe I wanted to say thank you when he was here, but I thank the chief for his letter. Certainly, he did a lot of work on that, on the firefighter Breyer, and that was a difficult, it is a difficult time. So keep the boys over there in your thoughts and prayers, the boys and girls. I have nothing else under correspondence. This time, we'll entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss collective bargaining, police clerical contracts, non-union employee contract, town accountant, and pending litigation, not to return to open session.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This requires a poll vote. Mr. Quell?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Elfie? Mr. Knowlton?
Yes.
Mr. Farley, and chair votes yes. We're in executive session. Thank you. Good night.